You've seen the work we put in and day out, challenging myths, debunking old wives' tales, and exposing poor breeding practices. Ugh. We spent years researching, studying, and applying real-world experiences to perfect the art of science of breeding. Why? Because you deserve the best, most accurate information out there. But to keep this mission alive and growing, we need your support. If you found value in the Bred to Perfection live show, take a moment, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share our content. It may seem small, but every like, every subscriber, and every share helps us reach more breeders who need to hear the truth, who want to learn what it really takes to create, maintain, and improve high-quality strains. This isn't just a YouTube channel, it's a movement, and you're a vital part of it. If you believe in what we're doing, if you want to help others discover the power of true breeding, help push this channel to the top. Like, subscribe, and share. Together, we make a difference. Thank you for standing with us. Now, let's get to work. Entertaining, informative, and educational. Inspiring content that makes a difference.
This is the Maximus Troy Publications Broadcasting Network.
Join the Academy. This show is brought to you by the Breeders Academy, where we will help you to increase your knowledge of breeding, advance your skills as a breeder, and help you to improve the quality and performance of your fowl.
As a member, I'll provide you a roadmap that you will need to create a true family or strain. Starting with a cock from one breeder and a hen from another breeder, no problem. We can help you to turn your flock of hybrid crosses or mongrels into a pure family or strain, and show you how to continually improve that strain each generation. We'll start by showing you how to select your seed fowl and how to turn that seed fowl into a high-quality foundation strain. Our proven breeding programs and specialty courses are designed to take you step by step through the breeding process. And best of all, I'll be there to help you every step of the way.
We urge you to check it out. You have nothing to lose, and you can cancel at any time. You also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Simply go to www.breedersacademy.com to sign up.
The Breeders Academy will not only change the way you think about breeding, but improve the way you breed your fowl.
Are you ready to see something incredible? Well, too bad. You're gonna see it anyway. In today's show, we've got quite the performance.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Bread's Perfection. I'm Kenny Troiano, founder of the Breeders' Academy, and I'm here with my wife, Nancy. What's up? And by the way, she's a little sicko, or just at the end of being a sicko. So we're going to do the best we can because she's struggling. Yeah.
Yeah, I am struggling. It's like got that little tickle in the back of my throat. So I feel like I'm hacking up I don't know. That's gross. Anyway.
You do sound off, though. You do sound very off.
I am, but that's okay. You got to persevere. You just got to keep on going. No, I love that short. That short was cool.
That's Tony Short.
Yeah, that was a good one. So I just want to let Josh know. I think he saw it and he says thanks that he's already asked a question and it's pertaining to what we're talking about tonight. Okay. And I love it. And I've already got his start and I can't wait to get to his question. But we'll get to his question a little bit later. What is going on with you? You already know what's going on with me. I've been struggling with this crud for 3 weeks now. What about you? How's it going?
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you. Who else am I going to talk to?
I don't know. What's been going on? I chipped a tooth. That's why I wasn't on last time. So I had to go to the dentist and have them shave it off because it was cutting into my tongue. I got to go back in, get a new crown, I guess it is. Yeah, I cracked a crown, not a tooth. I don't even know how I did it. All I know is I was cutting the crap out of my tongue. So, but here's something funny is I don't think they're members, but they're followers. And their name is Polly and Mark. And they said, love your show. Your wife cracks me up. And we listen in the car every day. So I thought that was kind of funny. Nancy's the comic relief of the show.
Who would have thought? Well, thank you, Polly and Mark. Shout out to you.
Here's something else funny. Okay, Nancy is convinced that because she feeds all the birds in the neighborhood. All the wild birds come here to eat at the Troiano house.
You're not supposed to say that.
They all know it. Every bird around here already knows it, okay?
You are letting out my secret, my friend. Now everybody's going to come after me. Biosecurity.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've been yelling at you too. Okay. So it is kind of funny to watch all these different types of birds come in and eat at her fountains.
My trough. And
her trough or whatever, the community trough. And this one bird was like hitting our sliding glass window. We're both in the kitchen, the dining room, talking. And right at us is this bird coming in and slamming into the window, flying out, slamming into the window. It just kept doing it over and over again. And Nancy was convinced that the bird was trying to get her to go out and feed them because see, my birds want me to go feed them. You know? So she goes and feeds them. The bird didn't give a crap about the feed or anything, but the other birds did. And then for the rest of the week, and I still think he's doing it, he's going against all the windows, all the car windows, all the mirrors, our shed window, our front window, our slider. He can't get enough of himself. So it had nothing to do with the food at all. So...
Well, here's the thing. Here's the other part of the story. My favorite aunt, she was my godmother. She just passed away. And this bird shows up. And I haven't seen this particular bird ever in my yard. And I'm like, could this be a sign? You know, this is something. And then that was a Saturday, and the next day we went to a family function, and my sister-in-law had brought up what I described what color the bird was, and she brought it up on her phone, and it actually is one of the birds that we have here in Southern California. And they are so beautiful, and the male has a more brilliant blue, and then the female is a little bit lighter. So, and they're a pair. She sits off the side and watches him bang at the window all day. I don't know why, but he's doing that. But so, yeah. That's what's been going on. I haven't seen him in a little while. But.
Yeah, I haven't either. And he's making a mess out of my shed window. So Nancy goes, well, let me move the trash cans next to the shed and he won't have anything to land on as he's doing it. So she takes the trash cans away. I look back out there because she was mowing the lawn, and she leaves the mower in front of the window. Now it's on the mower going back and forth. I'm going, you
Yeah,
didn't
because
fix
it hops
anything.
it hops on the mower, hits the window, comes back, hops on the mower, looking around, and then hits the window. So that, yeah.
All I know is he poops on my truck. I'm going to be a very unhappy person.
Yes, you will be. But I befriended a crow family, and God, I'm telling all my secrets here. You guys are going to kill me. And I call him, and he comes for his food, and they're interesting. He's amazing. Anyway, what else do we got going on?
Okay, I just want to make some announcements for my members. Now, we were planning on doing the clan mating as a master's class video, which we are. We were going to talk about it on the members roundtable, which we were, and hopefully we are. But when Nancy got sick and everything, she's been out for a while.
3 weeks.
Yeah, because she came on with Dawn Schreider and myself,
and that was
she
the
was
beginning
struggling
of it.
then. Yeah, she was struggling then. And so she was able to keep quiet for the most part, but barely made it through. And then she just thought it was just a simple thing that was going to go away. But it got worse after that. Yeah. And then my tooth, and we're like, okay, we're taking some time off because we're just not ready. So the clan mating system, as soon as she's done, you can hear her. She's not ready yet. As soon as she's done, we're going to do the master's class video. And then we'll get the members together to still do the roundtable. But what I'm going to do is it's all done. It's ready to go. All the banners, all the pictures and illustrations are done. The actual program is ready to go. I'm going to put it all on the website. It just won't have the video yet. So, but the information's there and it's really good. So check that out. Whether we make a video or not, I still want you guys to check out the information that's on the website, the program, because we can never cover it all on a video anyways. So whether we do a video or not, I still want you to go and read it and check it out and look it over. And then the same thing for the gene chopping. We were going to do the master's class video. We were going to redo the master's class video for the gene chopping right after that. And I started looking it over. I even went through the video a little bit. I go, well, okay, it's not that bad. It says everything it needs to say. So be looking for that too pretty soon. I'm going to just go ahead and put it right back on the website for you guys because everybody's asking me about it. Maybe I should have never took it off. I just wanted to redo it. So it's going to have the full program on there with the video we already did. And if I get time, I'll go back and do it because it is a good video. It does say what it wants to say. I did want to do it different, but it's good enough. And I'm getting to the age where I'm good enough on things sometimes. Sometimes they don't need to be perfect. They just need to do the job. Okay. Because I want to get to other projects. I want to get to other programs. I have a whole list of things I want to do, but I can only do them one at a time. So
you've made Josh's day.
I've made a lot of people's day. Trust me. Everybody's been asking me. I've been doing coaching calls like you wouldn't believe, and everybody's asking me about the gene chopping. Then I got to walk them through, and I go, what am I doing? I could save myself a lot of time if I just go ahead and put it right back on the website. Because it's interesting. But, and I wasn't in a big hurry to do it because I don't exactly want everybody. I don't think it's something everybody should do. And the ones who are going to do it or planning on doing it or want to do it, you got to understand it's not a quick fix. It takes a while. It's a full-on program. And all it does, as far as I'm concerned, is create your Adam and Eve, the seed fowl that you're going to eventually start the Founders Program with. So you got to do all that before you even do the Founders Program. When you could just select the right birds that have everything you already want in them and then go from there. But I get it. Some people are like, I can't find this bird and I can't find the bird I'm looking for. And they're always missing this and missing that. And it's just the nature of the industry, especially when it comes to gamefowl, because they're not finding the birds they want. They're trying to get the best birds they can, but they're just full of flaws. They're mixed up. We call them hybrids. Maybe some can be considered hybridization, but we're looking at mongrels most of the time because there's just so many different bloodlines in them, and you can't replicate a lot of these. The colors are way off, so you're forced to get what you can and create something from that. And sometimes they're lacking a lot of traits, and the gene chopping would help you get there. You just got to do it right because it's not like it sounds. So, anything else, Nancy?
Yeah, well,
It's like you were saying, and I'm seeing out there in social media a lot. What do you think about this, Adam and Eve? People are having a hard time finding a decent Adam and Eve. So I think that gene chopping is really going to help them out.
Yeah, it's like people are saying, well, the fowl today are much better than they were in the past. I don't think so. I really don't feel that way. I actually think they were a lot better in the past. I can hear your vibration of your phone, Nancy.
My phone's not doing anything.
Really? What was that? Okay. You sure?
Yeah, I don't have.
Okay.
Nobody's texting me or anything.
Okay. So we got a lot of new. What's that?
It's my heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
I heart for you. So before we get started, we're talking about the rain, the non-existent rain that we didn't get here. In Wisconsin, Barb got plenty in Raiders saying that he got so sick of it. He sold that doggone property and bought another one. And now it's so nice and dry and the ground is sandy. So good for you, Raiders.
Yeah, that's good.
I hope that works a lot better for you.
Okay. So we got a lot of new members. I really appreciate that. Just make sure to take your time. Like I always say, begin with the Start Here pages. That's going to get you started on the right foot. Understand there's no deadlines, no falling behind, no catching up, no testing. Take your time, get to know the website. For those who want to join, just go to here, let me do it for you.
Here you go.
www.breedersacademy.com. Once you join, you'll have instant access to the website. You'll have access to the Founders Program, Masters Class videos, members roundtables, and a vast number of programs and courses. You'll have a complete collection of the podcasts and live shows and the daily articles. You'll have expert advice from Brian Reeder, Peter Brown, Dr. Gallardo, Don Schreider, Tony Seville, and we do coaching calls. So if you want to get started, just go to www.breedersacademy.com. Okay. So
And for those of you that do not know, we do have...
Start over, Nancy. Start over.
And for those of you that do not know, we do have a Monday podcast that comes on, and it's an audio version. You can catch that on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, all those good ones. And they're really good because they are edited by yours truly and by him. So check those out on Mondays.
Yep. I fix hers that she missed, so I edit too.
Exactly.
I do the cleanup. Okay. I do want to let you know, Mike Sayer is going to be on next Monday. And then we have Peter Brown. And then I think on the 11th, we have Jeff Duguay. He's going to come on. So we got a pretty good lineup, and I'm working on some others, I've had a handful of people suggest some breeders, and so I'm going to try to contact them, and maybe we'll get them on and see what they have to say.
Yeah, we actually had Mike scheduled for last Monday, right?
Yeah, but with your sickness and my tooth, we had to postpone.
We both couldn't talk. So there you go. We rescheduled him. We're getting him on there. So,
I could have brought Mike Sayer by himself and just let him do it all by himself. So
he could have.
Yeah, I should have suggested that to him. Maybe he would have been okay with that. Okay, Mike, it's all yours. Boom, we're out of here.
The Mike Sayer Show.
Okay, today's episode is going to be interesting in that it's Nancy's idea. Now, we've kind of done this one before. We've covered it. I think we've even done a full show on it a long time ago. And sometimes we're going to need to rehash some topics because we did them so long ago. And what was going to say, and we cover it from time to time in other episodes as sidelines. But Nancy kept asking me, and this one of them that she keeps asking me all the time. I keep giving her an answer, but she keeps asking me.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Let me explain. You're not letting me explain. I told you before.
I know. I wanted to set it up so that you could explain it.
You are not setting it up, my friend. You are just totally off. Okay, so I was editing a show. And Kenny and Frank was one with Kenny and Frank, and they were talking about pullets and breeding to pullets. And Kenny goes, yeah, I breed to pullets. And I stopped it right there and like, no way. I said, you're telling me right here on this edit that you breed to pullets. He goes, well, you're not listening to the rest of it. And of course I wasn't because I had stopped right there and going, no way, because I know better. And he explained it to me. And then I go, okay, well, you don't say that enough because there are plenty of times that you've said on the podcast that, yeah, you will breed to pullets. And we need to do another show on that because, and in fact, we had a short discussion on it right then and there. And I'm like, damn, that should have been recorded. You know, there's so many times we're in the den and we're both working, and then we get into a
we should have a
conversation
recorder
about that.
going all the time.
We should. God forbid. You know, what's for dinner? You know, it's things like that. But anyway, I thought this one was a good one to, you know, revamp, redo, and
re-record,
get it straight what you mean by, yeah, you will breed to pullets. So there we go. So we're going to start with that. How young is too young?
Well, let me say this. Age can be something that helps you, or it can hurt you, or it can work against you. Depending on, I know. What's that?
I said, believe me, I know.
Okay. Well, I'm only a couple years older than you, so I want to hear it. And,
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me.
Okay. So using the right bird at the right time, breeding it to the right mate at the right time is important. And sometimes you have to breed. Sometimes breeding to the youth, the young birds is a good idea, but with a caveat. Sometimes it's the old birds you got to breed to, and it's with a caveat. How old is too young? How old is too old? How can you get the vigor out of a breeding by maybe mixing or breeding to youth? So I start putting something together that kind of answered Nancy's question, but also covered a bunch of other stuff. And so I told Nancy, since this was her idea, I'm going to kind of, at the best she can, run this one. And if hopefully she'll run it well enough that I could just answer questions. Because I had kind of like an easy day today.
I just asked you a question. You didn't answer it.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
How young is too? Yeah, you're too old. How young is too young?
Okay, well, let's start with the pullets because that's Nancy's. Is it okay to breed to the pullets, and how often, and what are the problems? Okay, so if I'm breeding to a pullet in general, we can see a lot of times we've seen smaller, in some cases weaker eggs. Okay, they're just not reproductive wise, they're just not ready to go. Okay, a lot of times we can deal with thinner shells and lower hatch rates, less uniform, weaker chicks, and unproven genetic value. And I would say the unproven genetic value and the smaller, weaker birds or chicks. Actually, you know what? I have eggs here. Should have been chicks. The smaller, weaker chicks and the unproven genetic value is probably the most important part, because sometimes you can work around the other things. But there are times when I will breed the young pullet, like Nancy was asking, not exactly to move the strain forward, but young birds actually make great test birds. Like when I'm doing a back crossing, because I'm going to breed, a lot of times I'm breeding parrots that are unrelated, and I need to see what they're going to produce and what kind of traits are going to show up and what's the quality of those birds going to be. And so I may want to breed them together, and like I'll breed my Adam and Eve together and I'll get the offspring from that. And so not only am I working through a program, but a lot of times I'm doing a test mating. And I would actually say that almost every mating you do could be considered a test mating, but especially when you're breeding young birds. And I feel like I'm going to jump around a little bit here a bit. So here's what I tell a lot of the members, because they breed their Adam and Eve, they get their offspring, and they're like, what do I have to do now? Do I have to wait 1.5 years or 2 years to breed the pullets? Wait till they're hens to actually breed them? And I like to tell people, no, we can actually go ahead and breed those pullets just to see what we get, to see if it's worth breeding, to worth carrying on, whether she's going to be valuable to the breeding program or not. What are we going to get? We may not like anything she produces. She may produce disease. Okay. So whether you're buying a pullet to start your strain with, and you don't want to wait, go ahead and breed them just to see what you get. That's when I do believe breeding a pullet is very valuable, because I want to see what she's going to produce. And I would say it's the same thing for the stag. I want to know what he's going to produce as well. And sometimes breeding, like I have no problem going to someone and buying a brother and sister and then breeding them together right away, even though they're young, just to see what I get. Because if I don't like what they get, chances are, I'm going to make a mistake waiting till they're 2 years thinking I'm going to get a lot better. because all you're really getting when you're waiting is a higher quality bird from them. They're still going to show a lot of this, the same, or express the same genetics as they would when they're young versus when they're old. Okay. They're still going to produce maybe some of the same diseases that they would produce. So I need to kind of know those things. What if one of them's carrying a recessive and the other one isn't? Or maybe they're both carrying recessive. I need to know that too. So the early part of the breeding program, especially in the founders program, is not only a cleanup process, but it's a testing. It's a testing program so that I can see what I can get. And if I like it, then I can kind of hold on to those birds for a while. Maybe they'll turn out. I can always compare them. But maybe they won't. Or maybe when they're older, I can breed them again and get maybe even a higher quality offspring. And then I can compare them to the ones I produced earlier. And if the ones earlier aren't that good, I just get rid of them and move forward with the new ones. So I do like to wait till they're 2 years old, like a pullet, but I will breed them when they're younger to see what I get. Does that answer your question, Nancy?
Well, there's two caveats, I think, to that, and caveat might not be the right word, but if you're breeding them as a pullet, how do you know you're getting the true measure of what their capabilities are?
Well, like I said, where you're probably going to be lacking the most is the overall quality of the bird. Now, see, what the pullet doesn't show you is her longevity. Did she survive her environment? At a pullet, you don't know. Has she survived the diseases in your environment? Was she able to adapt to the way you take care of her, the way you feed her, that kind of thing? So to me, a hen has to prove a lot before I make her part of the actual breeding program. And the pullet just hasn't given me that yet. On top of that, like I said, she's going to produce smaller eggs. Smaller eggs produce smaller chicks typically. Okay. Very seldom does a chick from a small egg turn out to be a nice full size chicken,
So are you basically breeding the pullet just to see what traits that she carries that are going to show?
Yeah, for the most part.
And
here's another thing too. Is I'm trying to remember all the things that a pullet would lack that a hen wouldn't. Typically, pullets tend to be, how do I want to say this? Pullets tend to be poor mothers. I mean, you'll get some that every now and then will be a good mother. And they'll stay on the eggs a full term. They'll hatch the chicks. They'll take care of the chicks. And they'll wean them at the proper age. I'm not saying not all pullets are bad when it comes to that. But some are really bad. And I don't like to judge them at that age for those kind of things until they're older, because they could completely change. I think they're just too immature for the most part. I've seen pullets, let's see, they lay either not enough eggs and go broody or too many eggs and go broody. I've seen them hatch them and kill them. I've seen them hatch them and walk away. I've seen them hatch them, take care of them for a little while, and then start beating up on them, that kind of thing. So I don't like to trust pullets to be mothers, but here's another reason I'll use a pullet. If I have a hen, and I'm not talking about a really young pullet. I'm talking about one that's somewhere near a year old, a little more mature than what we're talking about typically. In that, I may use her as a foster hen. If I have a feeling that she's going to be okay, and I'm willing to risk the eggs, and I'm trying to get as many chicks from a particular mating as I can get, and I know the family, and this, a lot of times I find that this is something that happens when you know the family really well. Like you've had the family for a while, you've bred them many generations, you've got them to the point when they're becoming uniform, consistent, predictable, and repeatable. You know the family. And I feel the same way about the stags. If I have a stag and I know the family and I can tell by just looking at them, a lot of times I can say, okay, I have a pretty good idea how these birds develop. When I see this, I know he's going to be pretty good. If I see this, I know he's going in the wrong direction. And then I know whether to breed them or not. I try not to do that very often, but I feel like I have the confidence to do it. Same thing with a hen that's somewhere around a year old or close to it. If I have that kind of confidence in the family and I know the birds pretty well and she's a young hen, I wouldn't typically use her for the breeding program, but I have no problem giving her a try to hatch eggs that I really need, because I don't even use incubators here anymore. So if I have a hen that's really valuable, she's part of the breeding program, and I need to get as many as I can, I'll stick eggs under as many foster hens or pullets as I can, which turns out for me usually turns out pretty well. So that's another reason to use a hen.
Yeah, and it gives you an idea of what kind of a mother that hen, that pullet, is going to end up being when she matures out. And then two, if she's mature enough to handle, going broody and hatching out a clutch of chicks and taking care of the chicks, being that she's under a year old, then okay, she's proving herself already, even as a pullet. So that's a good thing too. Let me just pull this.
Let me say this: is if she does that really well, chances are, I don't think I've ever seen a pullet who did really well as a mother, as a setter and a mother, end up turning out to be a really bad hen later. If I have, it hasn't been very many. Okay. But if I have one that just turns out to be a bad mother or doesn't do it very well, then I may give her a chance to prove herself as she's older. Now, if I have a whole bunch of pullets and she's just ordinary, or she's just, I don't need the weight because I have some to replace her easily, then I may get rid of her. Now, I will say this though, that if I had a pullet hatch a bunch of chicks and eat them, which I've seen, or kill them, which I've seen, then I'd probably just go ahead and get rid of her. I wouldn't want to take the chance again.
No.
Yeah.
That's a waste of feed and time. Now, Fox is asking why nature gives them the right to lay if they are too young. Okay, here's my thought process on that one. Hope this is not too. All right. We as girls, we have all the eggs that we are ever going to have in our lifetime. We start to mature around 12, 13, 14 years old. Doesn't mean that we should be getting pregnant at 12, 13, 14. Our bodies are not mature enough, mentally, and bodies are not mature enough really to handle that sort of thing. So I'm looking at a pullet almost in the same way. They are not mature enough. Yeah, fine. They can lay an egg at, what is it, Kenny? 4 months?
Yeah, 12, 16 weeks, somewhere around there.
Okay. That, for one, when I've seen it when they first start laying, the eggs are pretty small. Their pelvis area can only handle so much of a size of an egg, and their bodies are just not ready, and the development of the egg isn't ready, and you're not going to get the quality chicks that you will get at a year or older, preferably 2 years old. So that's my thought on that. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question, actually. It kind of goes back to what we've already said. The first thing that I would think of is the egg size. Young birds lay smaller eggs. Okay. Smaller eggs produce smaller chicks. That's the thing right on the top. Okay. And younger hens, no matter whether they can lay or not, is fine, but they haven't proven their worth to me as a breeder. Okay. Now, Mother Nature, he wants to bring nature into it. Mother Nature will weed, if she's not able to survive her environment, Mother Nature will cull her. Okay. But in nature, all a bird has to do is live long enough to produce offspring. Okay. So let's say it lives long enough to produce offspring. Well, if the genes in her are producing deleterious traits, defects, anything that's going to mess up the chicks whether they can get out of the egg, whether they can grow and develop properly, whether they can mature, Mother Nature is going to weed them out too. Okay. So Mother Nature takes care of those faults, those weaknesses, or anything that's, not able to survive in its environment. As a breeder, I want to control that. I want to decide which ones I'm going to breed to. So right away, I'm not going to breed to young pullets that are laying small eggs because I know what I'm going to get. I want to wait till a hen matures to the point where I think she's survived enough of what's going on in my environment that I know she's going to be able to pass those maternal antibodies and those the mitochondria. And if that's another thing, mitochondrial DNA, maternal antibodies to their offspring, and I know their offspring are going to survive. And if I wait long enough, I'm going to be able to tell whether that hen, through her exposure to disease, how fast she recovers, or if she's able to resist the disease, and how active and healthy she is, and whether she got sick or not. Because if they get sick, I get rid of them. Once I see how strong a strong constitution that she has, and I'm okay with it, I'm convinced she's a good mother and she's got good constitution, she's got the breed representation that I'm looking for, then I know at that point that I have a chance of having a hen with really good mitochondrial DNA, so that when I breed her, those chicks are not just going to hatch, they're going to jump out of the shell because I selected her well. Those chicks are not just going to grow, they're going to grow and develop really well. Okay. And they're going to be healthy. They're never going to get sick. And they're going to go into maturity like I want them, like I expect them to. And that's going to set the tone for my whole family. You control the quality of your strain by the hens you select. And my feeling is when you select young hens, there's certain issues you're going to have to deal with, and you're taking a chance, because if you get offspring on the ground from a young hen, by the time you figure out there's a problem, it's already too late, and now your whole strain is going in a direction you don't want it to go in. I want to control every generation. I want to control every step that family takes, so that I'm able to get the kind of birds that I'm looking for. They're healthy, vigorous, have the right type, conformation, station, carriage, color, all the traits. I want them to represent their breed, be healthy, resistant to disease. I want them to have good potency, good mitochondrial DNA, and I want them to produce really strong offspring that grow, develop well, and never get sick. You control that. But you breed the young birds, you're starting out with problems right from the beginning, and you have no idea what direction you're going.
So there's a difference here. Breeding to young birds and keeping them as part of your strain, part of your family, is a no-go. Breeding young birds just to see what kind of traits that bird has in her is okay, this is the test. Now, you don't keep that offspring, correct? You're just breeding to see what kind of traits she has.
Well, you got to keep them long enough to see what they're producing, because that's what you're doing. You want to see what they produce. So you're not going to tell everything you need to know when they're baby chicks. You're not going to be able to tell everything you need to know when they're quail-sized birds. You need to grow them. You need to look at them. You need to check them out. You need to see if is there going to be any recessives that you're going to have to deal with. You need to find out whether there's any deleterious genes that you're going to have to deal with. Dog breeders, they can do DNA blood tests to figure out what's hiding within their genomes. Okay. We have to breed them and test them. Breed them and test them. We need to produce some offspring to see what they're going to produce. Then if we don't like what we see, or we see problems, could be even a lethal gene, then we know not to breed that hen any further. Okay. We can't ignore the results. We need to see what they're producing to determine whether that's a good hen or not, whether we can use her to progress the strain or not. And maybe if you have a family, a family of birds you've been working with for a long time, you'll have a better insight on what they're going to produce because you've been dealing with them for a while. I still wouldn't breed to a pullet, though. I'd still wait till they're mature, but I wouldn't have to test them.
That messes me up. That messes me up. You say I still wouldn't breed to a pullet until she's mature.
As for the family, Nancy, as something family I would progress the family with. She would not be in my breeding program.
Okay.
A test mating is completely different than something that I'm using, let's say, in the cleanup process or the foundation stage. I definitely wouldn't do that. And I can stagger my breed. Let's say if I'm in the foundation stage, and my members will know what I'm talking about, I can stagger my breedings so that I'm not having to always wait a full year all the time, that I can still keep moving forward and still not have to breed to young birds. So there's a way to get around that too. I think the biggest part is people are just impatient, you know. And let me put it this way too. If you feel that the pullets always look better than the hens, and they change when they become hens, then that should tell you something. That should tell you that the birds you have aren't that good. To me, they're at their prime when they're at 2 and 3 years old. Okay. If they're not looking better at 2 or 3, then you got a problem. Okay. So there's something going on within the gene pool where they're changing so much, you don't feel that they're as good as when they're pullets. Yeah, that's something to think about.
Okay. I am assuming that you don't breed every pullet on your yard to test mate it, to see what's going on. How do you choose which pullet to test mate?
Well, if it's a family you've been working with all the time, you're probably not going to need to test them. Okay, because you already know what's going on with those birds. You're seeing what they're producing from, every generation. Your biggest test matings are going to come from birds you don't know, birds you have no prior knowledge of. So if you're buying a bird from a breeder, then you're going to need to test mate them. Some of your first matings before you really get started is to see what they're going to produce. Okay, so and a lot of times they're unrelated. So now you really don't know, because now you have the expression or the influence of not only the hen but the cock. Now you're going to have to figure out what kind of recessives are hiding in there. You're already going to mess up the polygenic multi-gene traits, because now all you're seeing is hybrid vigor. But that's what stage 2 for the Founders Program is all about, is cleaning up not only the hybrid vigor, but to clean up the deleterious genes and the traits that you don't want, so that you can move into, God, this is so hard without talking about the Founders Program. Yeah, it's really tough. But I will say that whenever you get new birds and you don't have any prior knowledge of the bloodline other than what they told you, not your own experience with the birds, then the first matings you do are going to be test matings, for sure. And you've got to be, how do I say this? You've got to understand what the results are. So when you look at the offspring, you've got to know by the traits that they're expressing, whether they're dominant, recessive, some cases codominant. When it comes to blues and some others, you got some incomplete dominance maybe going on there. Okay, you got to be able to understand. You got to be able to be. I can't talk all of a sudden. You got to be able to understand. That's not the right word, is it? Capable of understanding.
Yeah.
What polygenic traits are showing up. Okay. And know whether they're hybrid vigor, the results of hybrid vigor, or, family breeding. So just breeding them and test mating them is only one part of it. The biggest part is understanding the results, being able to look at the bird, the phenotype of the bird, understand what you get. Okay.
And by all means, don't throw that hen in with your strain, with your family. Set her off to the side and do a test mating off to the side. Don't bring her into the family right away. Please.
Then that wouldn't be a test mating. That would be a full-on infusion, So.
Yeah, totally infusion. And then you lose her among all your other hens, and then you don't know who's what.
Yeah. The thing I hate the most is, let's see what we can get and let's do some experimenting,
Well, that's fine if you want to do that, but do it on the side.
Yeah.
Don't do it in your strain that you've been cultivating for 10 years, by all means. Yeah. So let me get this straight. A pullet. What is the age of the pullet that you are willing to test mate?
Well, like I said, they start laying at around 15, 16 weeks normally. I probably wouldn't breed her right away. I might wait a month or so before I actually test her. Okay. If I'm going to use
her, talking 9 months?
8 or 9 months, I guess, okay. with the knowing that I'm probably not going to keep the offspring. If I'm going to use her as a foster hen, I like to have her as close as possible to a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have we talked enough about the hen? Do we want to switch things up
Yeah.
and talk about
Unless
the
you have any other
roosters?
questions,
Yeah, let's talk about the roosters. Okay, breeding 2 young males, stags,
Okay.
cockerels.
So the biggest thing we're going to get out of breeding stags is going to be their energy, okay, their vigor and their vitality. That's basically what we're going to get from them. Now, like I said, we're in the same boat when it comes to stags as we are the pullets when they're brand new. When we just got them, we don't know that much about them. We still have to test them. We need to see what they're going to produce. Can you hear that? Wow,
Neighbors.
echoing in my ear. Okay.
Oh, my window's open. Do you want me to go close?
Yeah,
my
go
window?
close it because it's really distracting me. Is that where it's coming from? Yeah, close all those things. I can't even hear myself think. Okay. So maybe I should wait till Nancy gets here because I don't want her to ask me the same thing over again. Wow. She has the whole house open. No wonder I can hear it so well. That's a little better. Okay, I held off until you got back because I didn't want you to ask the same thing. So, okay, so we do get some things from the stags that are beneficial. Like I said, they have a lot of vigor, a lot of vitality, that kind of thing. But we do need to test them because we really don't know what we're going to get. It could be some hidden recessives or whatever, some deleterious genes, lethal genes, whatever. But if I have a family that I know really well, they've been breeding for a while, and I have a pretty good idea how they're going to grow and mature by what I'm seeing in the phenotype, then I may use them in the breeding program at a younger age. I haven't had to do that in a while. I've done it from time to time, especially when it comes to generation turnover, where there's some lines I want to speed up. And I can do that by breeding a really mature hen to her younger sons, which are stags. Okay. Sometimes I don't need, and that's sometimes one of the benefits of having a hen lead a line is that a lot of times I don't have to wait till the stag or her son reach full maturity before I start breeding them, which is really good when it comes to generation turnover, and that I can speed up the breeding process. Now, when I'm breeding, let's say a rooster to his daughters, I really do need to wait till his daughters become fully mature. They need to be at least 18 months, maybe 2 years before I'm breeding him to his daughters to move the strain along. And almost all my lines out there, except for 2, are hen lines, which is really useful. So a lot of times the son that I'm breeding to her are like right around 1 year old, the following breeding season, which works out really nice. But I know my family really well. I know what I'm going to get. I'm not surprised by things. It's not a new family. It's a family I've been working on for like 30 years. But I was telling Nancy this morning that no, I don't want. I got to be careful how I say this because this is part of the Founders Program. But I do have one hen. I'll say it like that. I have one hen that is producing some stags. I started looking around at her sons, and they have. You know how you have they say you have you want your rooster to have a nice broad back that tapers nicely to the tail.
Get out your iron.
Okay. So, I mean, this is a good example that whenever you see this in the old chicken books, when they talk about the shape of the back and the body, where the back needs to be broad, okay, tapers nicely to the tail, but they also want it flat like an iron. That's what they say. So it's broad, flat, tapering nicely to the tail. But what happens sometimes, I see people talking about how their birds have a nice broad back, is they're showing off the back and it's nice and broad up here, but it's also the same width down here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that. That's not a good back. You want it to taper nicely. Well, I see one hen, I'm gonna have to get rid of her because her stags are showing that the back is so broad it's about the same. It's the same width down here as it is up here. It doesn't taper nicely to the tail. That's a really poor back. And a lot of times you'll see it right away, because as the saddle feathers are going over the back, they kind of go like Frankenstein's head, I call it, where they kind of go flat and then they hang over instead of like going round at the base of the tail. Okay. So you don't want that. So when anybody's talking about that their cocks are back and they're showing that the cocks are nice and broad at the tail too, then we got a problem. Well, I actually have a hen that produced some stags that did that. So I'm going to have to get rid of her and those stags. Okay. That's something I have to watch out for. So, but that's something I see. They're about a year. They're going to be, they're about a year old now. And I would have saw that and I would have known not to breed to them, because I know my family. Well, I know what the structure of the bird is, but I know my family too. And if you understand that, then a lot of times you can breed to a younger stag to, an older hen. A lot of times in a line breeding type program where you're breeding the mother to their sons every generation. But which ends up being a really cool thing if you're going in the right direction, you have the right birds, and you know what you're doing, because of that generation interval, or generation turnover, as I like to call it too, because you can actually speed up the process. And you can't do that when you have a cox line. You just can't do that. So it's really important that when I'm selecting a young stag, that they have the right type, the right conformation, the right station, the right carriage, but understand too that it's a little different than what a mature cock would look like. Like let's say like an 8-month-old stag has a very different body conformation than you would see in, let's say, a 18-month-old bull stag. Okay. And then if you compare the bull stag to, let's say, a 2 or 3-year-old cock, again, there's so much difference. Do I have that here on the thing here? Let me see if oh, here we go. Okay. Now this is just a silhouette, but there's more to look at the bird than just a silhouette. You'd have to get them in your hand to understand what I'm talking about. But if you compare the stag to the bull stag, there's a lot of filling out, quite a bit of change from those two birds. Okay. And then if you look at the bull stag to the cock, there's still quite a bit of difference. That's why I always say it's always best to wait till the birds are fully mature, because you're actually seeing what you're getting. You're actually seeing what their true potential is. And if you're trying to compare that stag to the full grown cock, if you don't understand the family, you could be totally misled. Okay. So you need to make sure that their body conformation is true, and that and this goes with the hen too, or the pullet, that the overall health is good, and that they have good disease resistance. I can't talk all of a sudden. They have overall health and disease resistance. And the only way to tell that is if they never get sick. If they're really active, healthy, strong, and they never get sick. Because once they get sick, they're automatically taken out of my breeding program. Okay. So as far as the risks of breeding to young stags, again, same thing with the hen. They have not proven their genetics. There's so many unknown factors. Okay. You do not want to lock. Here's the problem too. And this is especially when you have a family or a group of birds that are new to you from another breeder, no matter what they tell you. There's so many unknowns, and you go ahead and breed them because you want to speed up the breeding process. You want to, let me fix this. You want to speed up the breeding process. Okay. You're not being patient. You want to get the breeding program going. You don't want to wait that extra year that you probably should wait. So let's say the stag doesn't turn out like you thought it was. Well, you've got quite a few offspring on the ground. You have a chance of locking in those genes. You fixated those traits. Now you've got a family of birds with a lot of undesirables. What are you going to do then?
Cull hard.
You're going to have to cull hard. Okay. And that bird, you're going to realize that bird was a detriment rather than a benefit. And sometimes maybe that bird doesn't survive and you forgot what you did. Now you just have a whole bunch of birds with a lot of faults. And that's if you even know what those faults are. Okay.
So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked about the hens.
Let me say one more thing though. And that, because I wasn't done. The main thing that when I was showing you those different silhouettes that I want you to understand is they change, their traits change with age. You have to be able to recognize whether those changes are in the right direction or not, whether that immature cock or stag has what it needs or what you want or what you need, because they are going to change. Okay, what was it, Nancy?
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you about the pullet. At what age? What's your cutoff line? 9 months?
Okay. It's a good question. If I'm going to use them in a breeding program, like we were talking about a minute ago, and I'm going to breed it to his mother, then for me, breeding season is once a year. I don't breed all year round. I don't try to turn on lights in the winter to get early hatching. Okay. I don't extend the breeding season into the summertime because I don't believe I'm going to get the best fowl. So my breeding season's in the spring. So when I hatch chicks in the spring and I grow them, what are they when they get to the next spring? They're a year old. So to me, that's a good age to use them. They're not fully mature, but that to me is a good age to use them if I'm going to use them. Now, when will they breed? I've seen some stags breed at 5-6 months old. I don't know. To me, that's just too young. It's unnecessary. Let's put it that way.
Well, here's the thing that I've seen. That you get a young stag and he doesn't really quite know what he's doing. And all he does is like beat up the hen because he's not really mature enough yet to really be finessing. So there's that you deal with. But what
Whose chickens are you talking about? I've never seen that in my chickens. If I get a chicken that dumb, he's gone. Okay.
He probably was cold. In fact, he was. But I've seen it. I've seen it.
Not from my birds.
Well, I mean, I remember one instance.
Once they reach maturity, they know what to do. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. But I have seen it on this farm, and I do know that you called him, but he was just like way too rough with the hen.
Oh yeah.
Way too rough. And he was young, but it didn't get any better with age.
No.
So
yeah.
There you go.
Some roosters are rough, and I don't like that.
Yeah, you don't want to. That's a temperament. You don't want that on your yard.
Okay, what was I going to say? Oh shoot, it left me. I was trying to write it down in time, but I didn't get it. Okay, here's the other thing too. Is you're asking how young should I breed a stag? Okay, here's one of the biggest problems. Is I'm not going to breed a young stag to a pullet unless I'm testing them, and I'm still going to wait till they're pretty good size before I do that. But I could put that young stag with some hens, and they look at him as immature, and they beat him up.
Yeah.
And then he's ruined because he's totally lost his confidence. So although they can, like that one guy was saying, I forgot his name, although nature has instilled in them the ability to reproduce even at a young age, I don't think it's a good idea because there's a lot of problems associated with it that you're probably not going to like. Yeah. Exactly. I just think it's more about being patient when you get to that point. But
so in closing with that, fine, younger birds, no younger than 9 months or so for a pullet. Stag as close to a year as you possibly can get. The benefit is a test mating to see what traits they have in them, but they're most likely not keepers. The offspring are most likely not keepers.
I wouldn't plan on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say for sure not, but I would not plan on it. Okay. So if I'm going to use stags, I'll tell you this, unless I'm doing a test mating with a pullet, if I'm going to use stags, then I'm always going to breed them to an older hen, a mature, proven hen. Okay. But again, I would not breed a stag, even with my family, I would not breed one stag to a whole bunch of pullets and then end up being wrong and produce a lot of birds off of him, in the beginning. I need him, even though I know my family, I still need him for the most part, the proof is worth. You know, I would assume that because I have really strong hens with good mitochondrial DNA and I don't get sick birds, I don't even have medication on my yard, that I may get a stag from time to time that just doesn't, you know, he just doesn't have the best longevity. Something with that one happened. And I'd hate to have a lot of birds on the ground from him and be wrong, you know?
Yeah. All right. So let's switch it up a little bit. How old is too old?
Okay, let me look at this over real quick. Yeah. Well, let me say this too, that when you're looking at young stags and pullets, it's all about evaluating their genetic value as early as possible. So do this too. Whether it's your birds or birds you bought, look at them, understand the bird, understand your breed, try to understand the traits that they express, understand the genetic factors of those traits so that you know what you're dealing with. Because you got to look, all you're able to select from anyways is the phenotype. And so when I'm looking at a stag and pullet, I want to look at their phenotype. I want to be able to look at their traits. I want to know what their genetics are so that I know what I'm going to get. So when I put those two birds together, I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to get. If they're already starting with issues and defects and deleterious genes, or they're not as healthy as they could be, then why bother? Why even move forward from that point? You're starting off on the wrong foot, and it's just going to go downhill from there. So I want to reduce every risk I can. I want to, as soon as possible. I don't care how much I paid for them. If there's problems, and I don't want to move forward, I don't want to produce a bunch more birds that I'm probably going to have to cull down the road. I think names of birds, the cost they spent for them, they mess up a lot of people. They give the bird the false sense of value by the name and the price, and they hold on to birds and breed birds that they shouldn't, and produce offspring on birds that they probably shouldn't have produced, and then don't realize it maybe 5-6 years down the road that they messed up and they spent a lot of money and put a lot of effort in for nothing. So before you ever breed those birds, even in a test mating, understand what you're looking at and making sure that you're not moving forward with birds with issues.
Well, here's the thing. The name of a bird doesn't prove its worth as far as conformation of body, type, all of the
name means
genes.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. Is it doesn't prove the worth of the bird. It's the conformation of body, it's the type, it's the health. It's all these things rolled up into one that proves the bird. The complete bird.
The complete bird. Yeah. Does he represent its breed?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have the traits that he should have? Is he healthy and vigorous? Okay. Is he resistant to disease? Can he survive your environment or her? Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, we're already at an hour and you have a lot longer to go. We haven't even gotten to our questions.
What do you want to
do? God, I was looking forward to that. That was going to be fun.
We moving forward or what?
Okay. Yes, we're moving forward.
Okay, it's up to you.
Just hold on, I gotta
If we leave early, it's her fault.
Okay. Moving on. I don't even know where we are now.
Okay. How old is too old?
How old is too old?
Okay. The one thing I will say is age does bring experience, but it also brings, or it could bring, degeneration. So if you don't really understand the birds that you're breeding and they're older, I kind of think this is where the name comes into play a lot, because the birds weren't really meant to be bred in the first place. But here's some of the signs you could look for, because I wrote a few of them down. Signs that the bird's past its prime. Okay. Fertility begins to drop. You start seeing less. The birds just, the cocks are producing clears and you're not getting any chicks, or very few. And that's not, by the way, that's not a genetic thing. That's an environmental thing. It could be the weather. It could be nutrition. It could be he's too fat, too thin. He mechanically can't make it happen, or he could just be infertile. But that's not a genetic thing. Some of those things can be reversed, but by the time you reverse them, it's probably too late. Hatchability is a genetic thing. That actually can be passed from hen to pullet or hen to daughter and continue on. So when you have a hen that's the eggs are fertile but they're not hatching, then it's usually a hen problem. Could probably be a lot to do with mitochondrial DNA. Reproductive ability becomes inconsistent. So either he's selecting, I mean, that could mean a lot of things. He's selecting some hens over other hens. Some hens aren't cooperating. Like I said, he might be too fat to do anything. Okay. The vigor starts to decline. So you'll see it in the cock when the vigor starts to decline. They'll kind of almost look sick. They just don't look that healthy. They don't look very active. They don't. I want, at any age, if I'm going to breed a cock, I want him to act like a stag. Okay. I want him to be healthy. I want him to have the drive. And when I put a hen in there, I don't want him waiting. I want him to do things right away. Okay. And then you'll see inconsistencies in the offspring itself, in the performance of the offspring. That's when you start seeing the decline.
Well, there's not really a specific age when you say, okay, the cock is 10 years old, he's done.
No.
It's a matter of what you see in the yard, like what you were just describing. That's when you decide, okay, he's done. The hen is a little bit different, right?
Yeah. So a hen, we've talked about this a million times. Is that the eggs? Okay, the hen is born with all the eggs that she'll ever lay. Actually, she has a lot more eggs than she'll ever lay. She'll never lay all the eggs that are in her. Okay. A lot of people go, God, she's laying all these eggs and not breeding her. She's going to run out of eggs. I really doubt it. I don't think she's ever going to run out of eggs. She'll grow old before she lays all those eggs. Okay. But the problem is those eggs are as old as her. So whether you're providing the best environment, the best nutrition, the best everything, it doesn't change the fact that those eggs are as old as she is. So if she reaches 9-10 years old, so are those eggs. I'm not saying don't breed her, but when you look at the baby chicks, you need to be able to determine whether whether she's producing strong chicks and she still has the ability to produce strong chicks is, and it could be mitochondrial DNA too, or it just could be age. But some hens will clock out earlier than others. Okay, the reproductive system isn't as strong or durable, or they'll have the vitality as some of the younger birds. Okay, so I do like to wait till the hens are 2 years old, because that's when they're in the prime. We're going to get the best birds, the best chicks. But when they start getting older and the chicks either start losing, they don't hatch, so you start getting a low hatchability, or when they do hatch, they're very lethargic. They're very slow moving. They don't seem very active. That's a sign that the hen's too old. Okay. Even when bred to a young stag, it has nothing to do with it, because she's going to have a bigger influence on the quality of those chicks than he is. So when you see baby chicks that just don't look that great, then to me, that's the first signs that she's pretty much outlived her reproductive usefulness.
So there's basically not a specific age, at 5, she's out. 6, she's out. There are certain things that you'll look for to decide she's out of the breeding program as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have them in front of me. Let me think. Well, I just said them. I just said that chicks that are lethargic, weak, they're not growing and developing properly. They get sick easy. They just don't look that great. Those are the first signs that you've used her past her reproductive usefulness. Okay. Yeah.
So let me know, what are some of the pros and cons to breeding to an older cock?
The biggest pros is that he's proven his worth genetically. And well, that's the basic thing.
That's
That
the biggest thing.
he's proven himself, that he has the genetics that you're looking for, his genetic worth. Other than that, it's just what kind of breeding program are you using, and how much do you actually need to use him? But I will say this, that if his sons get to a point where they're better than him, then now you're overusing him. You're using him beyond his reproductive usefulness, because now you're breeding to mediocrity rather than superiority. So whenever I see sons that are better than the father, that
He's
father
gone.
just lost his place.
Yeah. As
Okay.
he should, because you want to improve your strain, not make it stagnant,
Yeah.
or go backwards, so to speak.
Here's another thing too, is by the time the cock reaches a certain age, you should know the quality of his prepotency, because not all cocks are prepotent. Not all cocks have the ability to be prepotent. Propotency is a really tricky thing. You could have a lot of cocks in your yard and maybe only a handful are prepotent, but there are some guidelines you need to follow to make sure that they can be prepotent, and that is, they have to be from an inbred family, so they have to be pure. They can't have outside blood in them. Okay, that means you got to go multiple generations within the same family. They have to be homozygous for most of their genes, for most of their traits. Okay, so they have to be pure, inbred, and homozygous, and then you'll get a cock that's prepotent, and you'll get the best offspring from that.
Okay, for those that aren't really well in genetic terms, homozygous meaning
that they're basically pure. The mother and the father contribute evenly. The alleles were the same. So if it's a dominant trait, they both had the dominant allele. If it's a recessive trait, if it's expressed, then they were both pure for that particular trait. And sometimes you have to test them for that, because even though they express the dominant trait doesn't mean they're pure for it, because it could be heterozygous, not homozygous. That means that the father may have the dominant allele, but the mother had the recessive allele, okay, or vice versa. So the more homozygous you can get them, the better. The more inbred they are, the more pure they are, the better, as far as prepotency is concerned.
At what point do you test for that? In the beginning of your strain or down the road?
That's the tricky thing, is that this is one of those things where having a pure family, a well-bred family that a pure strain, comes into play. Because if you're breeding them pure and you're creating a family, then they're pure. They're inbred. And if you're breeding out all the recessive genes that you don't want, and you're breeding towards homozygosity when it comes to certain traits, there becomes a point when the family's so pure that the cocks that they're producing have a better chance of being prepotent, especially if they got disease resistance and all that kind of thing. They come from a good mother that has good mitochondrial DNA. And then it's just a matter of breeding them at that point and looking at the offspring. And if the offspring have high quality, a lot of people think that he stamps or imprints his genes onto his offspring. No, the genes are already there. Okay. The prepotency isn't going to influence the expression of genes. What's it going to do? It's going to express the quality of the bird himself. So like mitochondrial DNA does for the hen, producing strong, healthy offspring that grow and develop properly, prepotency for the cock does the same thing. So if you got a prepotent cock with a good hen with good mitochondrial DNA, you have one superior mating there. You can produce some really good stuff. The only time a hen becomes prepotent is when the cock is so bad that she becomes the powerhouse of the mating. Okay, hopefully she's already got the mitochondrial DNA working for her, and she would need that at least to be more prepotent than the cock too. But if he's so low quality, that's when the hen becomes really valuable. And I've seen where you can produce really good offspring You could I'll just put it this way. You could produce good offspring. I want to almost say acceptable offspring, as long as you got a good hen on one side, even though you got a bad cock. I see so many people trying to produce offspring from a really good cock and an ordinary and mediocre hen, and it never works out. The hen is that important.
Yep.
Now, the hen's not going to produce more traits or better traits as far as dominant, recessive, monogenic traits than a cock. I mean, a trait's a trait, a gene's a gene. Okay. And as far as polygenics, multi-gene traits, it takes the power of both the cock and the hen to produce really good polygenic inheritance. Okay. So the hen doesn't overpower the cock that way. A lot of people go, well, you get more traits or better traits from the hen. That's not true than the cock. No, it takes both. It really does. But you get the quality, the health, the vigor, the growth, development, the maturity, those kind of things, the disease resistance. When you produce, that's what you might get from one or the other.
Okay, are we down to the poll questions yet?
Let me see if there's anything I want to bring up. So, okay, let me say this. Older hens, if you're wondering if you're getting, the hens are getting too old, we talked a little bit about this. Fewer eggs, obviously. We see this mostly in domestic chickens. Game hens tend to go a little longer, more productive. But they do reach an age where they lay fewer eggs. Thinner eggs is a big one, especially with the domestic chickens, because the bigger the egg gets, the thinner the shell gets. Okay. And even with my older hens, my game hens, if I start seeing thinner shells, I'll just I'll up the oyster shell. Within a week or two, that they're back looking good. Lower hatchability, weaker chicks. Like I said, old hens have old eggs. Signs typically show age faster, though, would be the egg quality, rate of lay, and the lower hatchability rates. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover real quick. Okay, let me say this. The benefits of breeding to older birds. They've survived multiple seasons. They've been exposed to their environmental stressors, okay? And that they demonstrated natural resistance to the common diseases in your area. So they're tested, okay? Yeah, I guess that's all. I mean, there's a lot here. I'm just trying to skim through it to see if there's anything I want to make sure I cover, but it seems like we've covered a lot of it. Oh, let me say this. Okay. I don't know if we've talked about this as much as, if at all. Breeding young birds is not always the best thing to do. Breeding the old birds is really not the best thing to do. So unless we're doing test matings, or a particular breeding program kind of requires that you breed those that way, and sometimes they do, it's really good to breed to youth, to have youth on one side of the breeding program. And I'm not really talking about young stags and pullets when I'm talking about this. I'm talking about like a 2-year-old hen to a 4 or 5-year-old cock. That really works out well. I'm also talking about a 2-year-old stag, maybe one if you know the family, but a 2-year-old stag or bull stag, no, a 2-year-old, that'd be a cock, to a 4, 5, 6-year-old hen. You really need youth on one side. Now the Founders Program automatically does that kind of thing for you in multiple places. I can only think of one place within the program where you would be breeding the same ages, but for the most part, we're breeding to youth throughout the program. But it's really important because it really restores the vigor, of the birds.
Stay within that sweet spot.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess that's it. I guess we can answer questions now.
Okay, so we have set up. Are you ready to go through the poll questions?
I was just looking at them. I never set them up. I forgot.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm so disappointed too. We have a new widget on here where we can do, let me do one. I want to see what it looks like. I'm not even sure it works because I haven't had a chance to test it. I told Nancy this show is going to be really good because I wanted to test how that poll works.
Okay, we need chat participation, guys.
Yeah, we do.
We need participation.
let me pick a good one here because I got about 10 of them. I knew I was going to use them all. What is? Okay, let's just do this one. I mean, given the answer already, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's see how well you guys are listening.
Yeah, let me set this up real quick. Yeah, and I don't even know how many I can do. I don't know if I can just do one or I can do multiple. And I don't even know where they're going to show up. So check the chat because I have a feeling that's where they're going to show up. See what you guys do with this. This isn't a hard question, but because we kind of talked about it quite a bit. Okay. Glad you. Okay, start and show. Oh, it's on the screen.
There it is.
So does it show up in the chat?
No, it doesn't show up in the chat. It shows up on the screen, so everybody can read it on the screen. At what age do you think a pullet becomes safe to breed?
So how do they answer it?
1, 2, 3, or 4?
Well, I can do multiple polls. Okay, so I can do more polls.
Okay. So answer in the chat, guys. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let me read them off for our audio.
Wait, Nancy. Okay, it should work. There should be a place they can click on that because see those bars underneath? Yeah. Those should grow as they click on them.
All right, let me try. Okay, what age do you think a pullet becomes safe to breed?
Are you doing it through StreamYard or on the website, on the YouTube itself?
Oh, let me. Okay. Sorry.
Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. It's so small. I can't see it.
At least click something, you guys. I want to see what it does. You know?
No, it doesn't click on the screen. So they have to answer it in the chat.
Yeah, it says type 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat. Okay, try that.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So I was right.
Oh, you did it. Okay.
I was right. Okay. So here are the answers to 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the audio version. Okay. Let me go over the question again. At what age do you think a pullet becomes safe to breed? Number 1, before 6 months. Number 2, 6 to 12 months. Number 3, 12 to 18 months. Number 4, only after fully mature.
Okay.
Okay.
We've got about 35 people in the chat.
Look at Sue says, nope. Okay. So that's what we have so far. We have a 4 and a 2.
Sue doesn't want to participate?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Sue says number 4.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay. Anybody else? Come on, guys.
It's moving.
Let me know what you think.
That's cool.
Okay. Barb says the 2. Anybody else?
How many we got? Does it say? Oh, it does. Oh.
Raiders, what do you think? Are you still there? I know this is a long episode.
Let's call them out.
Raiders.
Okay.
Okay. You've got Laura in here. She says a 4.
Okay. Well, they're doing that. Now I know how it works. Well, I'll do more of this. I'll come up with some really good questions and set up a number of polls, and we'll do it throughout the show. So what's the questions, Nancy? We'll let that play out. Let them do that.
Ask another question?
Yeah, just go ahead. Let's go ahead and get the questions out of the way.
Oh, those questions.
You're still sick, aren't you?
Yes. All right. First question. Josh is asking, I have an age question. I am trying to shrink my Banny strain. Would breeding younger hens to get smaller birds help, or would they just go back to normal size when someone starts breeding older hens?
Okay. That has nothing to do with the age, because the genetics doesn't, the age, the size doesn't determine the genetics, and the genetics doesn't determine the size at that point. They're still in the growth and development stage. Okay. So that's like, here's a good example. Let's say you have offspring that are growing during the summer. And you can't figure out why they're not growing and developing properly. I can tell you why, because a lot of times they're too hot, too uncomfortable. They tend not to eat as well as they should. You could give them the best nutrition and it wouldn't change it because they just don't eat very well. So you end up with birds that are smaller than they would normally be. They don't grow and develop as they should, but that didn't change their genetics. You could breed that same bird to a perfectly good hen or whatever, or even to you could breed a brother and sister that grew up at the same time, and they were really small, but they grew up in the summertime, and that family is usually a typical certain size normally. You would get offspring that are the proper size. So what he needs to do is he needs to select birds that are smaller and smaller. So is he trying to create a Banny strain or trying to get the Banny strain smaller? Okay, yeah, he wants to get them smaller. Okay, so you just got to keep selecting the birds within your strain that are the smallest, but hopefully that they're small for the right reasons and it's genetic. Because if it's not genetic, you're not going to have an impact. You got to keep doing that at what we say, because it's a polygenic trait. You got to keep doing that over and over, generation after generation, and it'll be very subtle, but over time you'll get there. And you need to take pictures, video, and you need to compare them, weigh them, whatever. Okay, you need to be able to document that you're actually seeing a difference. And I think over time, by selecting the birds I'm telling you to select, you'll get there. But it'll be very hard to see unless you have something to compare it to, because it will take time and it'll be very subtle. But there's different ways that bannies have been created, was to breed them like this, or to breed other bannies that share a lot of the same traits and create a whole new banny strain. The Old English game is like that. It has no relationship whatsoever with the large Old English game. They share no genetics whatsoever. They're not even from the same family. They have no relationship whatsoever. They were completely created from other types of birds, other types of bannies. Okay, that's how some were created. But if you want, let's say, a full-size family and you want to make bantams out of it, then you have to do what I was saying here. You need to keep selecting from the healthiest birds, the smallest birds, and then over time you'll get there. But they can't be small because of nutrition or season or age. That won't change anything.
Yeah, Raider's saying that's exactly what he's trying to do with his A-sills. They are big, around 9 to 10 pounds, and I want to make them around 6 and 7 pounds.
Yeah, so he has to select the birds that have the proper size and weight that he's looking for, and just keep doing that generation after generation, and he will eventually get there. It's very subtle. It's going to take a long time in many cases, but adding new blood isn't the answer too, because you're just going to get hybrid vigor. You're never going to get there. That doesn't get you there. If you want permanent size change and you don't want to change your family, then just keep selecting the birds that are the smallest, the closest, or at the intensity you're looking for.
Yeah, what he's trying to do is make a subline that are small.
It's always good whenever you're making changes, you always want to use a subline. Yeah, especially if you decide to bring in outside blood, which I say that's your last resort, but never into the foundation fowl.
Okay, are we ready to answer this first question?
No, that's the only question.
No, the poll.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I haven't. Oh, well, okay. It could be subjective, depending on what we said, on what you're going to do with them, why you're breeding them, and things like that. So, I'm glad nobody picked before 6 months, because that would be a big mistake. But 6 months to a year, if you're testing them, okay. If you're going to use them for foster hens, 12 months is good. If you're in a pinch and you just want to see what you get and see if they have the potential to move your family forward, 12 to 18 months is fine. If you have a bird that is definitely part of your breeding program, I would say when she's fully mature. So, yeah. So none of those are wrong. It just depends on their reasoning.
Except for before 6 months.
Yeah, that would be a wrong one. Let me pick one more here. We got still people here? Okay, we got people here. Okay, let me do this. And a lot of these questions aren't exactly wrong or right. So don't be afraid because I didn't really set them up that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I really do want your opinion because especially this one, this can change depending on the breeder and why he's breeding them or what he's trying to accomplish. Because I don't see, let me see, are any of these wrong? Well, no, none of these are wrong unless you're doing it for the wrong reason. And you're not telling us that.
So we'll set up this next poll and then I'll ask Kenny another question. I have 2 more questions starred here.
Okay, I screwed up. Hold on a second. I like this. This is cool. I'll have to.
This is fun.
It'd be better if I had these already set up. Okay. So I'm going to create that. Start and show. Do I have to get this off of here first?
You're asking me?
What's going on here?
So if anybody is wondering how they can get to the Breeders Academy, that QR code,
okay, here we go,
that he just covered is one way you can screenshot it and get there too. All right. Next one. Okay. Which pairing do you prefer? Okay, I got to get to that one because it's too small
young
on the
hen
screen.
to proven cock, young stag to proven or mature hen. Should be proven hen actually too. Mature proven hen. No preference. I don't know why I put that on there. I really want to hear something. Same age pairs.
Okay.
Oh, a new preference would be you don't care whether you're good with both young hen to proven cock, young stag to proven hen. Or same age. Okay.
Okay, we got some 2s here.
They're all picking 2? They are. Okay.
So Lambert, is that the newest question here? Is that a 3 for the newest question? Or is that from the first poll that we took?
Just pick the latest ones.
Okay.
Now, I will say this, like a young hen to a proven cock, like a 2-year-old hen to a proven, 4, 5, 6-year-old cock. I mean, that's good. But as you know, I mean, I probably would pick 2 as well for the most part. I mean, I'm not against any of these really, but young stag to a mature hen, I like hen lines. So I would probably do that. That way I don't have to wait till her sons are like 2 years old to mate them. If I know the family. But let's put it this way, if you're in the foundation stage of the Founders Program, you pretty much know what you got. You know what kind of birds they are. You know what you're pretty much going to produce. Once you're in the foundation stage, it's more about fine tuning. So that's a good one, Yeah. How many we got so far? Come on, you guys. There's 40 of you. You guys can't. There's no wrong answer here. Click something.
Oh, look what Sue says. What Barb said. Barb says either 1 or 2, depending on what you want.
Okay, I'll go with that. No preference, so they're good with it all.
All right, we'll let them mule over that. Let's answer another question for you.
Okay, let's do that. Good.
Okay. Brett's asking, like you say, actually, this might be a statement. Like you say, Kenny, most people are impatient. A lot of the old dead man books say to use 2-year-old hens to breed from. So, well said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there too. I like nice mature hens, and I think 2 years old, they're at their prime.
All right. So Dean is asking if the breeding is the same but are different life stages. Would the smaller chicks from the pullet grow to the same size as the chicks from larger eggs that hatched a year later?
Let me read that. If the breeding is the same but at a different life stage, would the smaller chicks from the pullet grow to be the same size chicks from the larger eggs? No, I don't think so. if you've got small eggs, you tend to produce small chicks, if that's what he's asking. Now, I have seen this, depending on how old they are. Let's say the chicks grow, they hatch like they should, everything's going really well, and for some reason they don't eat as much as they should or something like that, and you get some runts. You didn't notice there were runts at first, but they got to be about 6-8 weeks old and they start to drop a little bit. I won't say it happens all the time, but I have seen it where by improving their nutrition and making sure that they got the right environment, sometimes they'd catch up. But I wouldn't count on that unless you have a really strong family that and you can depend on that. A new family, when you get that kind of discrepancy or you get that kind of unpredictability, I would start getting rid of the runts, the defects, anything that's weak, diseased, sick, whatever, right away. Get down to the few that are showing the best traits and the healthiest, and move on with them. You don't want to mess around. But I would say if you got a pullet that's laying smaller eggs, you're playing with fire, that you're going to end up with smaller chicks, and they're not going to catch up.
Okay.
I'm not going to say they're way behind and really tiny, but they're not going to be at the full potential as their counterparts. They're brothers and sisters from the right one. That makes sense?
Okay.
Sometimes it's subtle. But see, that kind of subtleness, I've seen families be ruined because they understood the kind of cock they want. They understood the size and weight and shape of the cock, the structure of the cock, but they had no idea how to select the hen. They had no idea what the hen was supposed to look like. And so they just did their best to guess. And over time, they didn't realize it, but they were selecting hens that were smaller than they should have been because they didn't think it mattered or didn't even know there was an issue. And over time, the family got smaller and smaller. A lot of people want to blame the size of a family over time to that it's inbreeding, that the family got smaller because of inbreeding. Rarely is that the case. I know some people that breed, they only inbreed, and they have not lost size at all. I've had the same family out here for over 30 years, and they have not lost size at all. Matter of fact, Frank thought they were a little bigger than most. They're right around 5 pounds cocks, 4 pounds hens. I've got a family of pigeons out there that have been completely inbred, never brought outside blood for maybe going on 20 years now, and they have not lost size. So it's not inbreeding, it's selection. And I would never inbreed a bird that has a fault or is sick, because it's not the inbreeding, it's how you use inbreeding and the birds you inbreed. They're going to determine the size and shape of your birds.
Yeah, Raider's saying you're 100% right. Big difference. When I bred older hens, I used to breed pullets before that. Had to stop thanks to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we at here on the poll? So it looks like overwhelmingly for young stags and mature hens. Okay, that's cool. Well, I fought for that one in the show, so I made a good case for doing that, so I'm not surprised.
Okay, you want to set up another one? Let's set up one more. You know which one I really like? What matters more in breeding decisions?
Number 7?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that one.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, we'll set these up ahead of time. If you can remind me, Nancy, that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
I'm not used to this. I totally forgot about it. I had time to do it today too.
Yeah. Well, you talked about it. It was in the outline.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, at the bottom. But it wasn't. You know what? I didn't really even look at the outline today.
And yet you told me make sure you look at the outline, and I looked at it twice today.
This was going to be your show, not mine.
Well, I'm making you do the work that you set up.
Okay,
all right.
Create. Start.
Okay, there it is. Here we go. What matters more in breeding decisions? Age, performance history, health and vigor, form and structure. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, age. 2, performance history. 3, health and vigor. 4, form and structure.
I left one out on that. Maybe I should.
Yeah, you did leave
No,
one
no,
out.
don't say it though. And I'll say it after we're all done. That I probably should put that on, but it probably would have ruined it because then they would have just looked at that. They wouldn't have
This makes them go,
Yeah, I know. But, yeah. Let me adjust my light. I feel like I'm sitting in the dark.
Okay. On to the next question here. I've never heard this question before, so I don't know if we can or can't answer it, but I will bring it up for let's see here. Is Z-linked recessive, is it fixable?
What does he mean by fixable? He likes to throw some interesting questions up. But
fixable meaning can you make it recessive where you can hide it?
It is recessive,
I know. So, can you keep it?
No, Nancy, he's got to be more complete than that.
Okay. Fox, be more complete than that.
It's a gene. He's talking about chromosomes on the gene. I can't talk all of a sudden. Genes on the sex chromosome or alleles on the sex chromosome.
Okay.
So
rephrase your question. We'll pull
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
That can mean anything.
Does lethal genes come only from the hen, or can a male also pass the lethal gene?
Yeah, lethal genes are recessive. Yeah. So either one could carry it, but it's when both of them carry it, it's expressed in the offspring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got, let me see. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3.
See, Derek knew what I was going to say. There we go,
2?
Man. I shouldn't have said
all
nothing.
Of the above?
Oh, I shouldn't have said nothing. Yeah, because in some ways it can be all of the above.
We've got some smart cookies.
Okay, tell me which one is more. Okay, I said it in the title there. Which is more important? What matters more in breeding decisions? Which one? I want to hear. Derek, I want to hear one. Sue, give me one.
Oh, God.
I'm going to nail them down to one. Come on.
Barb says 3.
Okay.
Sue says 3.
You know what? I do. Yeah, okay. I do lean more towards 1. I do.
Age? Really?
Health, no.
Oh, no. You mean one in particular?
One of them in particular, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Raiders.
They're all picking it now. Yeah. How many we got? 6, 7. That's it. Come on, you guys.
Okay, so Cumellan, Columbus, I think, or something like that, was debating on number 1 because if a chick survives the winter, it is more healthy and vigorous. That's something to think about.
If it's health and if they're healthy and vigorous, it doesn't matter what age they are. They'll survive the winter.
Okay.
Hey
Sean.
Hey Sean, aloha. What's up? Hey Sean, I saw your message. I was going to answer it, and then you sent it to me in the email, and I get so many emails that I don't always see it. And I was going through my thing. I said, "Oh, shoot!" I said I'll answer it later, but I saw your email. I just want to let you know.
Okay.
You got it. It's best that you contact me inside the Breeders' Academy. That way, you know I'm going to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Derek says 3, but has to have 4.
He can't commit.
Barb goes, I agree with Derek. I'm
not going to say he's wrong. I'm not going to say he's wrong at all. Okay. So.
And Sean says, all good, Kitty.
So any more questions? We need to start wrapping it up.
I know, my goodness. But this is so much fun.
Yeah, we should have had these already up and they could have been doing it as we were talking.
Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah.
Come on.
Jeez.
Gosh. Don't you know I'm sick here? God. You can hear it in my voice.
You'll remind me when we're done here, I'm sure,
Now we're going to get out there and he's going to go, okay.
Save me, guys. Save me.
All right. So next question here. Can you make a family out of a half and half stag breed back to a pure line? Subline?
Well, if he's good, he becomes your Adam and you're starting from stage 1. Yeah, if he's healthy, vigorous, he represents its breed, has all the traits you're looking for, he doesn't have any defects, deleterious genes, or anything serious. It's a matter of picking the right hen that matches him as close as possible. He becomes your Adam. And you can create a pure line using the Founders Program. Yep. It's a 3-phase program with 6 stages. And we're talking about stage 1.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't, I don't know what was his name, because I'll tell him this. I don't care what name he has in him. I don't care what percentages of blood he has in him. I don't care how many different bloodlines he has in him. When I'm starting to strain, I'm trying to create a pure line from that, Tommy. Yeah. I don't care. I'm looking at the bird. His history, his ancestry means nothing to me. Nothing. Does he have what it takes to create a family from him? Do you want to produce more like him? Do you want to can you see a family coming out of him? Can you find the right hen to match with him? Because he can't do it by himself. And then I can guide you through the Founders Program and show you how to make a family with that.
Okay, this is going to be a 3-hour show because I'm going to ask you a question on this.
Hey, Nancy, you know what? I don't care. You know why? You get to edit.
I have to edit it.
And you're a little sicko who ain't going to want to do it.
Lucky me. No, okay, so you're saying that the lineage doesn't matter, but don't you kind of want to know the history of that bird for trait purposes?
No, I'm seeing the traits that I'm looking for. He's showing me it in his phenotype. I'll find out the traits that I need to know as far as as far as the traits in his genome, the genotype. I'll find that out as I'm breeding him. It don't matter what's in him, especially when it comes to, I don't know what kind of breed he has, but if he has American game, who knows what's in them? Who knows what's hiding in them? Yeah. Who knows how many different bloodlines were used to create him? Okay. I don't care how pure the breeders said they were or how pure the cross was. He's a hybrid. Okay. So much of his traits in his, what represents him right now isn't his true, how do I say this? What you see in front of you isn't always the true representation of the bird, because you're going to have to breed him to find out exactly what that is. But all you can do at this point, and most people are starting with birds like that, is to breed them and see what you get, but be able to understand what the results are. Understand when they produce different traits, what the genetic factors of those traits are, so that you know what you're dealing with, so that you can match them up properly. And that's so hard to talk about without talking about the Founders Program. But yeah, it would make a lot more sense. But no, I don't care what's in them. I don't care what the name is attached to them. I don't care who bred them or what they use to breed them to get them. I don't care. I go by what I look at, the phenotype of the bird. And then if I can match him up as close as possible to those traits with the right hen, then I have a chance of moving forward with those traits. Where are we at?
Okay. So Reader's asking, what do you think is a good age for breeding with the pigeons?
Oh, wow. Okay. I have pigeons. I've had them for a long time. I don't know if I'd call myself a pigeon breeder, because let me tell you what I did. Okay. I had a friend who had pigeons. I went to his house to help him select his chickens, his Gamefowl for breeding. We were going to set up his brood pens. But all I could do is look up at the sky because he had so many pigeons flying all over the place. I went, wow, this is really cool. And he started telling me the story of them, how they were the original Walt Disney blood. It was the ones that they used to let out to celebrate, things like let out the pigeons, and they would fly around and fly home. Okay. and until the hawks were killing them on the sidewalks, and little kids weren't liking what they were seeing, so they had to get rid of them. They stopped doing that. And this particular breeder had the original birds from that. So he gave me like a dozen birds in a box, and I took them home. And all I really did was I let them breed for a while, and they just bred whatever. And then I started noticing the saddlebacks started popping up. So I separated anything that came out saddleback. I bred those by themselves and start producing those, and let everything just kind of let the environment and the hawks and whatever weed them down to nothing till they disappeared. And then I started getting whites from that. And then I just started breeding the whites, and I did the same thing with saddlebacks. I just let Mother Nature take care of the saddlebacks. And now they're all white. They have been white for, Nancy, how long? 15 years? 12,
Yeah, at least
12 years at least. They're completely white. So they have their houses over there. They reproduce on their own, and I don't get in the way of it. And when they get too many, I just let them out, let Mother Nature weed them down to a good number, and then I lock them back up again. That's the extent of my breeding with pigeons. Because I can't say I'm a breeder. I just selected for certain colors and select them that way. Now they're white. They've been white for a long time, and I just control the numbers. But they have not lost size, and they're totally inbred. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're fast too. They're so fast.
Here's the thing.
I'm at the point now where I let them out. They last forever because the hawks can't catch them.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah. The hawks can't get them anymore because we got the good ones now.
Yeah. We weed them down to the fastest and the healthiest ones. Yeah. And they're totally inbred.
If all we raised were pigeons, racing pigeons, we would totally be into that sport.
Yeah, I can see myself doing that.
Yeah, so interesting. But, they house them with all the other pigeons, and there's so many biosecurity things that you're breaking the rules on that because we raise chickens, we can't do both. So we just keep them for fun.
Yeah, I thought about it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Barbara says, I like this poll, and it tells if you have been listening. Yes, it does. Okay, let's discuss this.
Maybe that's why they're not answering. They're not listening.
I have one more question from Josh. Okay. And after we discuss this poll. So let's go there. So which is it, Kenny?
What?
Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I believe it's health and vigor.
Okay, we got 70. Is that say 78% or 76? It's so small.
78.
78% say health and vigor. Why are you saying health and vigor is the
health and vigor is always number one? I mean, you look at the standard, any standard, and they do place conformation and type and structure as number one because that's what represents a breed. But as far as I'm concerned, if they're not healthy and vigorous, then you don't have a strain. It don't matter what they look like. If you can't reproduce them and produce healthy offspring, you're never going to get there. Health and vigor is number one always. Yeah. And then like Derek says, form and function follows. Yeah.
There
form
you
and
go.
function would be number two. Yeah.
All right. Tommy is saying, thank you for trying to get back into the Gamefowl and working on bringing back the toppy.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Awesome.
All right, last question of the night. If you aren't related, if they're not related, why are Old English game bantams called by the same name as the Old English game? That's a good question.
That's my question too. There are so many things. I mean, let me say this, is I've got a lot of friends in the APA, and I have a lot of respect for those friends because of what it takes to be, let's say, an APA judge. Because it's not like any, I mean, the American Gamefowl, the clubs for the American Gamefowl, they're trying to start, they're trying to get into the showing and create their own standard, things like that. But their criteria to become judges are nothing like what we see in the APA. I have so much respect for what they have to do to become APA and ABA judges. Okay. And it's not their fault, what I'm going to say here. Because this is something that happened a long time ago. When you look at the type of birds that are in the standard, and you look at what it says in the standard, on what it takes to get into the standard, there's a disconnect in that some birds in there don't breed true. They can't reproduce themselves. And they should be able to reproduce themselves pretty well. You should be able to put the right cock with the right hen and get the right offspring every time, or at least a certain percentage. And it should be a pretty good percentage. A lot of those birds have to be double mated. Okay. There's some birds that are bantams. And to me, a bantam should be a representation of the larger fowl. Well, there's some bantams in there that don't have representations of older full-size fowl, yet there's some full-size fowl out there, and they're not in the standard. And then they make the birds, the full-size birds, represent the bantam, which should have been the other way around. So there's a lot of, to me, inconsistencies and issues with the standard that I'm not really happy about. I don't know what they can do about it at this point, but I think it's an issue. And I think the Old English game, the fact that it's not a true representation, has no relationship whatsoever to the large Old English games. I mean, what are you going to do? And I mean, I don't think it's right. They should be their own breed because they aren't, but that's just the way it is. But it is a problem to me.
Okay. One more question because I want to know what you have
saying one more.
I know, but I want to know the answer to this. This is interesting. Isn't toppy a defect of the skull that allows for the growth of the longer feathers?
Hold on, Nancy. I'm trying to get this off of here because I don't want it to be on there when we quit. Okay, let me get back where it was. Sorry. Okay, start over.
Isn't toppy a defect of the skull that allows for the growth of the longer feathers?
I don't know if I'd call it a defect. I don't know if I'd call it a defect. It's a selectable trait. It was. I'm not sure how to answer that, but I don't look at it as a defect.
It's almost like what it reminds me of are the frizzles. You know, they select for that feather shape.
I mean, they found birds that grew feathers on the top of the head for various reasons. And then they exaggerate it to a point that it's a breed or a variety of a breed. So I wouldn't call it a defect, but it was a selectable trait that they improved on to be able to qualify it as a variety of a breed.
Sue says protuberance of skull.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'd call it a defect. It's a defect if it, okay, let's put it this way. If you have a family of birds that don't normally show it, or you don't want them to show it, then that becomes a defect for you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had Toppy show up in my Maximus line out there, to me, that would be a defect. I'm like, oh, no, that's not going to happen here. Yeah.
Oh, and Einstein.
Yeah.
Which I mean is, what are they called? The Polish.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different than the Polish. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we got?
All right. So we are almost at 2 hours. So I think we've done our job. I hope everybody had a good time tonight. I think that poll question thing is a good thing to incorporate into our show from here on out.
If I remember.
I had a fun time doing it. I hope you all did too.
I need more participation though.
Oh, they'll come. They'll come.
I think they're afraid to be wrong.
Especially if you don't ask questions that are tricky, because you've done that in the past. Ask trick questions.
What else would you do? You know, I need to set them up for the various parts of the outline and then bring them up as we're talking about them.
Oh, okay.
As you wish.
That's it.
Okay. So you want to end the show?
Yeah, well, everybody have a great weekend. If you like the show, you like what we do, please subscribe. We want to get our numbers up. We appreciate you all, and give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that as well. Have a great weekend.
See you next week.
Okay. Bye.